Hey everybody, Brian Bush, Top Crop Alliance. Got some questions following up on my last video about growth staging soybeans, so I want to take a minute and talk through this. These are two plants from the same field, a 3-5 bean planted April 28th. When I count this, I get 14 nodes and R3. Here's how we get there. I'm zooming in on the plant here and labeling each of the nodes that I see on the plant. If you want to go back and count, ask questions, feel free to do that. But this top one here, you can see the top node we had was the 14th node. Now, zooming at the top here, that's number 15. We don't count this one yet because the leaves are still touching. But the rest of them, 16 to 20, are right there in that tight cluster at the top of the plant. When we spray fungicide, they'll also be protected. After counting the nodes, now we need to growth stage this. So we go back to that 14th node, the one that had the open leaves, count down 4 nodes, and we find that the arrows there, pods that are 3/16 of an inch long, which tells us we're at R3. But there were no pods on this plant that were 3/4 of an inch long. That'll come into play in a little bit here. So I wanted to compare different planting dates, same maturity beans. So the same 3-5 planted 2 weeks later on May 14th was 13 nodes NR3. If you remember back, early May was kind of cooler than average. Fewer GDUs, so even though it's 2 weeks later planted, it's only one growth stage difference. Now, the last thing I want to touch on this video is this chart some of you got from our pioneer agronomist, Jason Geis. So I got the question from you, hey, Jason's talking about early R4, so is it early R4 or R3 plus 15 nodes? Well, I've used R3 plus 15 nodes for many years now. Jason's just repeating what Dr. Sean Castile at Purdue often talks about, being early R4 applications. And Dr. Castile encourages early R4 because soybeans stay in the R3 stage for a long time, and he wants you to spray on the tail end of that R3 window. I mean, I've personally seen soybeans as low as 10 nodes be at the R3 stage. If you sprayed then, you have almost half the plant yet to come out, and it would not be protected by fungicides. And in the end, we're both trying to protect that upper part of the canopy that collects all the sunlight and feeds those soybeans late in the season. I prefer the R3 plus 15 because, as I mentioned earlier, no pods on this plant were 3/4 inch, which would be R4. And I don't want to wait too long to spray my fungicide insecticide. You could probably say we're splitting hairs here, but I like my version. They like their version. Disagree to disagree. Hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the bush.